Hey everyone, welcome to the final, at least for now, webinar installment in our series with New Western. We're joined as always by Jimmy Quigg. How are you, Jimmy?
Good. I'm doing good, Michael. It's good to be back with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to dive into this one. We've got up on the screen for everyone to see. The focus here today is how to stand up new markets almost overnight. And this is kind of the logical conclusion of what we've been talking about. For anybody who's just listening in, this is the third webinar in this series that Jimmy and I are doing. The first one, we did a real deep dive on the Launch Control New Western partnership, which I'll do a very light overview of in a second before we dive into that standing up new markets topic. And then so if you really want to get the full deep dive, go back, watch that one when you have a chance. It's available on the Launch Control YouTube channel, and we'll also put it in the replay that we have for this one. And then the second edition, we focused on how to automate the process that you set up in this pipeline with Launch Control and New Western to really be hands-off and just increase your profitability as much as possible. And then, yeah, now our conclusion to this was just really how to leverage New Western's 40+ markets nationwide to very quickly stand up new markets, either in your general region, or if you want to go further afield, further afield. Anything you want to add to that, Jimmy, before I do a quick overview on the partnership in general?
No, I'm ready. Let's get this thing going.
All right, let's do it. All right, so the reason that we started this partnership, or why this partnership made so much sense, was that we fill as organizations really important roles on the front and the back end of the deal flow cycle. So on the front end of the deal flow cycle, when you're at the point of just really trying to activate data sets within a given market and generate as many discovery calls as you possibly can, Launch Control is absolutely essential in that case, right? You want to be able to have active marketing that gets you discovery calls on a weekly basis, right? Send out messages on a Monday, generate discovery calls on a Monday. Send out messages on a Tuesday, generate discovery calls. You can back that up with passive marketing, things like PPC ads or direct mail, and you can wait for those leads to come in. But on a daily basis, when you're really looking to generate active leads, Launch is an essential tool for your REI business. And then on the back end of things, in that core section, when you get discovery calls teed up, that's where all your money's coming from, right? You're able to guide sellers to solutions. You're able to figure out what your margins are going to be on a deal, and you can see the profitability of your whole REI business right there in that 5-10 minute conversation. Then you have a whole nother subset of things you have to do. You have to find a buyer, run through the dispo process, go through transaction coordination, all of which is taking sweat equity or time equity away from you. All right, so if you can take a huge chunk of that and de-risk your business and get your time back so that you can refocus on those profit-driven conversations, that's a massive win, which is where Jimmy and New Western come in. They've got boots on the ground team in 40+ markets across the US, and they establish partnerships with investors, not one-off deals, partnerships, which Jimmy is really going to get into. But what this allows you to do is have a plug-and-play disposition team available in markets that you might not have solid market analysis for. You certainly don't have buyers ready to go. So there's de-risk and the potential gains in ROI by leveraging conversation starters on the front end and disposition solutions on the back end is really a blueprint for scalability for your business. So what we're going to do is, with that model, we're going to look at this from the use case of just standing up a new market, right? Something everybody would love to do, right? It's a clear expansion path for any REI business. So we're going to just look at that use case and look at standing up a new market and show you how this partnership can help you accelerate that extremely fast. All right, Jimmy, you ready to go? I think you're up on this one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of where when we're getting in, this is kind of the first step whenever wholesalers are coming to us looking to stand up a new market, is kind of figuring out where they want to go next. And the way to get that going is when you're, like Michael alluded to, we're in a roughly about 40 markets across the country. So, certainly to use us, right, to build this relationship with, you've got to come somewhere where we're already at, and established. So, you can find on our website, or at this point, usually like we're already in contact, and I can be giving you the instruction on, where exactly we're at. And, if you have an idea of where you want to go, if we link up, if we overlap in that market, then we can get it going. So, you line up the markets that you're interested in, match it with us. And you're we let the wholesalers, do a lot of their own market analysis to just kind of decide where they want to go next. But you don't have to go as deep into certain things, because we can provide some macro level of advice to wholesalers, just depending on factors that we're seeing, and kind of how we feel the viability of the market is for wholesalers at the time, when we're whenever they're coming to us, looking to get going, looking to start to build on and expand their business.
So Jimmy, I have a question. I know we talked about this, but remind me, if let's say someone does that light market analysis, they're able to use Launch Control to tee up a conversation, a discovery call conversation, and they have a seller that's on the line, they're interested, right? And so they go to your team and they give you the property information. What's the kind of turnaround time, you're not, without getting really fully into the process, of you guys coming back with a solid analysis of that particular property?
Yeah. So with us, we like, I'm on my agents all the time. We want to be for sure same day, as quickly as possible. Sometimes it just depends, right? Like if you're bringing us a deal and it's late in the evening, whatever, it may be the next morning that you hear from the agent on running the deals. Because the thing is these agents, they're out in the field, they're walking properties, they're showing them to buyers, things like that. So if you happen to catch one and they're at the office and in the saddle in front of the computer, I mean, it's almost instantaneous. But for sure within that first day, that first 24-hour period. But we like to do kind of same day as well, to get that answer, because time is money here. A lot of times, especially when you get a seller who's ready to rock and roll, and you may not be the only one that's speaking with them. We want to get you an answer pretty quick so that you can perform.
Yeah, so same day, right? Like imagine that as imagine in your investment business, being able to have 2 or 3 discovery calls over the course of the day in any one of these markets, San Antonio, Tampa, Charlotte, and having a homeowner, because you've done some of that macro level market research, that the easy things that every investor needs to do, right, when they're going into a market. So you have a general idea of what the comps are going to be in that market. You go to Jimmy and his team, they're literally boots on the ground in that market, going out and coming back to you same day with a rock solid number, right? So that the risk reduction that comes with that, and what I always term is speed of play, right? The speed of play of knowing that 3 discovery calls in a day, and by the same time the next day, you've got a clear exit strategy for each one of those 3 properties, or an opportunity to go back to the homeowner and get them down to a number that they can turn around through your team very quickly, right? So it's that speed of play, and that knowledge that nothing's falling through on the back end. Like if that conversation is had and that agreement is made with your team, it's done, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So with this idea, like you match up your new markets, right, that you want to get into, or even just a new market as a use case. You've done some light market analysis, the general range of what your buy box is going to be, even if it's not honed in. You have a general scope, and you're able to start funneling some of these deals to Jimmy and his team. You're closing one of them, right? That's going to be enough profit to prove the potential of this market. And then you can kind of use those profits to expand. So, you know, the thing that you want to do on the front end, right? Like after you've identified those markets, you know that this is an area that you'd like to work with Jimmy and his team. You're going to need to, first of all, generate seller conversations, right? And it all has to come. You don't activate Jimmy and his team until you've had discovery calls with homeowners in that area, in that market that you want to stand up. Now, if you work with Launch Control and you come in and you say, you know, on that macro level kind of market analysis, if you say, look, I still need help on this before I connect with Jimmy and his team. I know that they're going to be able on the micro level on that property specific conversation, they're going to get back to me same day. But the big picture of this market still need a little help. If you come to our team, you know, Launch Control can connect you with some of the data partners that we work with that have incredible market analysis tools, many of which are free tools that you can use as a way to just get a grasp of kind of what that market can offer. From there, you can also take some advice from them on what some of the niche approaches to that market might be from what they're seeing in their data products, right? Now, then you take that data, you come to Launch Control, you work with our CS team to come up with a text engagement strategy befitting that market and befitting your business for what you want to achieve. In doing that, you start to send out your batches and you start to get that instantaneous response, active marketing response. You send out a batch of 150 messages through Launch, and 10 minutes later, you've got 20 responses, 25 responses that you can start to engage with and see how many, if any of those are discovery already. You continue that process and you are going to get a consistent number of discovery calls in that new market on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, right? From those discovery calls, you're able to then pivot those opportunities straight to Jimmy and his team. And again, same day feedback or early next day feedback on an exit strategies available to you. So what that eliminates, right, by taking that research through Launch and its partners on the front end, those disposition services and very quick exit solutions with Jimmy and his team, what it eliminates largely is on the back end of things, you're not needing to create a very solid network of buyers in that area. You're not having to do a huge amount of disposition research and engaging with other investors and whatever is necessary, whatever mechanisms are necessary to give you dispo confidence in that market. This is built-in dispo confidence to go with guaranteed discovery calls on the front end. So it's a really kind of can't miss way of standing up one of these new markets in that 40 plus market range that Jimmy and his team offer. And then Jimmy, I'm gonna hand this one over to you and how people can really leverage that boots on the ground system.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this in the previous two, but just to kind of reiterate, what it is, what it means to plug in with New Western once you've stood up this new market, and let's say you've gotten with Launch Control, you've done some discovery calls, and now it's time to see what the process looks like for the disposition as it pertains to you. And so the first thing is obviously by this point, if not by this point that I've already got you in contact with one of my best agents that I have in that particular market, I will get you in contact with them. And then once you're in contact with that agent, you really just begin to build a relationship with them, kind of bringing them deals, getting the idea and the understanding of what we can pay for certain deals based off of what we're selling. Multitudes of deals just like the one that you're bringing us to buyers already in the market. So you get a lot of that good knowledge and feedback. So like Michael alluded to earlier, if I'm not giving you an offer where if our agent's not giving you an offer where you already maybe have it, or it's kind of in the price range that the seller from that discovery call has given you, that they're looking to sell their deal, we'll at least be able to give you an idea of where we would need it at, and 2, 3, 4 reasons as to why we would need it there, based off of previous deals done and what we've seen and what we've gotten pushback from buyers in the past, so that when you've got to go renegotiate that price, or try to get that seller to come down, from continued discovery calls, try to get it come down on that price point to sell their deal, you'll have a little ammo, so to speak, to get into them. And then once we get it to a point that it's a price that kind of works for everybody, and we contract it with the wholesaler, we're usually asking for 24, 48, maybe 72 hours due diligence period in that contract, which you should have already set up through your contract with the seller, that would take, and we market it in our marketplace to the end buyers. And so just as launch control kind of funnels down all these leads that you have on the front side to qualified sellers, we've got your deal and we put it in front of thousands of buyers. But what we do is we funnel it down to that one qualified buyer who's able, vetted and able to close on the deal. And then we get them contracted. We coordinate with them to get access as needed. You would coordinate with the seller on the front side to get us access to get them in as needed. And then once we get them in contract, our agents, not only do we have agents that build relationships with wholesalers, we have agents that build relationships with end buyers. So those end buyers have the relationship with our agents, and our agents are kind of holding their hand, keeping up with them, getting them to that closing table. And then once title hits and everything closes, everything's clear and marketable at title, everything closes in funds. As I always say, we all get paid and we move on to the next deal. So that's kind of what it looks like, having those boots on the ground. So it's boots on the ground in the sense of we're already out there working and we're giving you that local market knowledge. But then you've also got the boots on the ground with our agents who are out there scouring, finding, building that buyer's network, and then taking your deal and running it through the whole system to disposition to get it to close. So it's really, once we've contracted it, other than getting us a little bit of access with the seller, it's really hands off. You really kind of sit back and you focus on getting more discovery calls going, and working with Michael and his team on the front side to line up more deals. And then once we get it closed, you've got more money, and then it's just rinse and repeat. And you just that's how you would build it up in that particular market.
And I think, what is the national number, Jimmy? You guys have something like 200,000 plus active buyers that are in your network.
Yeah. We've got about 200,000 that are, and I say this all the time too. It's not 200,000 emails. It's 200,000 actual vetted buyers who are buying in our marketplace and have relationships with our agents. And so our agents get to know, just like you would get to know as a wholesaler and our agents, of kind of what works in the market. They kind of get to know what the buyers are looking for in that market, because they have, those relationships built in on the backside. So,
yeah.
And I think,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think, you hear a lot of people saying, we've got this many buyers or that many buyers or this many buyers. And for us, I think really the more eye-popping stat is the fact that last year we were the, top home buyer in the country, and we actually buy and sell a deal every 13 minutes. So we're working in a pretty high volume.
Yeah, that's an amazing stat. Yeah, that number, the importance of the volume of active buyers that you guys have is, to me, is that if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're in a local market, buyers are building up their own portfolios and they're working on their own timelines. And somebody that's been a really active buyer for you in a 6-month period might go dark because they're just working on projects and they're not taking on anything new. And so, like, having a rotation of active buyers available in these markets, which you guys have, it ensures that every 13 minutes number, right? Because you're not hitting those dead spots that the solo entrepreneur might just off of the flow of the business cycles, you know?
Yeah, Michael, I can't tell you how many wholesalers that I've worked with that started out in a single market, and whenever I first established the relationship with them, they would only kind of bring us deals if they're, 5 or 6 or 7 buyers that they had in their list were exactly like you said. They were all tied up. They didn't really have anybody to go to, and they would bring us a deal and we'd sell it, like that. And they were just like, man, this is crazy that, no matter how many times I bring you deals, y'all can sell it so quickly. And I'm like, yeah, that's just the power of, the amount of buyers that we have and the volume that we're doing. And so they really just kind of transitioned to like sending me everything, right? And then it's just the automated process builds. And now they're thinking about, let's look at that next market. Let's look at standing up, maybe it's somebody who's in Tampa, St. Pete, Florida, and they're like, well, maybe I can kind of rinse and repeat this in Orlando. So then we get them plugged in Orlando, and then that grows. And now we're in Jacksonville, Atlanta, and maybe they just get a wild hair and they want to try LA. And so, they've been doing everything on the East Coast and decide they want to go to the West Coast. And, it's, I have multiple, case studies where that happened. And even when it happens from just that, where they thought, well, I've got my buyers, and then they come to a realization that, buyers get tied up. It's like, what do I do now? So.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of jumping ahead a bullet point or two here, but I think it's a good place to bring it up. One of the things that you and I have discussed is the simplicity built into the simplicity of this system of using launch on the front end and New Western on the back, and being able to increase the markets that you're in, and also increase the amount of deal flow that you do within your core markets, right? If those core markets align, what is built into that is reduction of overhead, right? Reduction of overhead and reduction of time. There's a lot of like the big investors will tell you that deal volume can be a dangerous ego play or a slippery slope, right? Where you got 100 deals over the course of the year, but between your staff overhead and your marketing overhead and your data overhead and just all of the things that went into the necessary operations of having to run every facet of that operation, or every facet of the deal flow stages, you ended up not profiting that much, right? Like a ton of deals, but the profit wasn't that high because the cost structure was just, had ballooned at that point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
What this does is it gives investors the ability to really increase deal flow without increasing overhead, which the knock-on effect of that, of course, is going to be a spike in profitability, right? And that's, of course, cash flow is the thing that everybody wants. Cash flow is king, right? So if you can increase cash flow with like dramatically without increasing overhead dramatically, that's a huge kind of slightly hidden win in this whole process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, one of the things that you already kind of brought this up a bit in terms of optimization. And you said you bring a few deals to your team, you start to getting that feedback from your team on the exact reasons why a deal won't work, or on the flip side, the exact reasons why this was a great deal in this market and why you'd like to see more of that, right? So getting incredible feedback from your boots on the ground team about like which types of properties that are really going to sell in that market, what's going to really work, right? So then you can take that information that they're gaining in those conversations with you guys to refine the front end processes, right? So go back and take that information of that narrowed down or optimized buy box and look for those properties at the data level, right? So you're looking for at the data level things that match that niche So you're going into discovery calls with homeowners that you know are going to fit those parameters, right? So you're not having to weed out the deals that won't work, or trying to, or you know, having to deal with excess, right? You're just really, really reducing the excess calories and getting down to the conversations that are going to matter within this pipeline. So again, it's time reduction, it's you know, a risk reduction, overhead reduction, all of that. So you're really just down to the sweet spot, right? And you might find in a certain market, like, you know, you might find that on the data side of things, it's out-of-state landlords that fall within a certain price range in the buy box that are really doing really well. You might also find that it's something like, from a buyer perspective, that it's something like, you know, 2-bedroom homes with a water feature of some sort, right? It's got a pool in the backyard or something. Like those are just easy to turn over. Right. So there's lots of different niches that you may be able to find in those conversations that people are having with investors are having with your team, that they can then use as really intelligent market analysis to drive better discovery calls and just, again, optimize the whole process as they go.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, we've both got tools in our communities that people can use to, within that market, just to connect with the investment community and ask additional questions and work towards further optimization. So yeah, Launch Control has an active Facebook community called Investors Hub. It's Investors Hub REI, if you search for it in Facebook. You can join us there, ask questions to other investors, hopefully find someone in that market that you're standing up that might be able to kind of give you some of their experience and guidance as well. And then, Jimmy, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the events that you guys do, because these are great, just people being able, within the New Western community, being able to, if they want to actually go meet up with some other investors in that community, to do it. And I believe you got both virtual and in-person events, right?
Yeah. So our marketing team does some virtual stuff. The in-person events is like you see on the screen here, the REI on tap. Every market that we're in, we have, you know, we've got these networking events that we actually put on, you know, at different venues around the city of where it's at. And it ranges from market to market, you know, how often that it happens, the cadence in which that they're rolled out. But yeah, they're fantastic opportunities that, even if you're already working with us, to go and kind of connect in the local market. And then, you know, also, you know, let's say that you're a wholesaler who's been doing deals in Pittsburgh and you want to start doing some deals in Philly. And then you plug into us and you're crushing it with, you know, one of my agents in Philly, and you're thinking, man, I'm going to drive over to Philly so that I can meet them. You know, these would be an ultimate opportunity to do that as well, and just kind of network in general, and you know, put names to faces and things like that. So yeah, they're that. And then also we have market to market. We usually have a local Facebook, you know, page as well that people are in, and are connecting with other people in their market, other investors in their market.
So yeah, these resources that both of us have, right? It's just we're both as organizations, both of us are very much invested in the success of the investors that we work with, right? And let's be honest, there's the obvious reasons, right? Like, if people come in, they use Launch Control, they tee up discovery calls, and then they're able to exit those deals with you guys to make a bunch of money in a short span of time, they're going to stick with Launch Control, right? We've got a customer for life. Of course, we want that, right? They work with your guys' team. They have great results dispoing those deals. They see it as a clear plug and play partner for them on that side. Those investors are going to stick with you, and you're gonna have a constant influx of deals coming in. So it's a win for both of us, right? But we also, you know, really want to see this whole industry come up and simplify and everybody to be able to have more profitability. And to do that, it really comes down to making connections, right? Like
That's right.
networking is important. Like you and I need to network, our investors in our community need to network. And so we want to facilitate that as much as we can and really kind of, support and champion the success of the investors that we own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the last thing here is, we've alluded to this as being, this isn't something that is you turning over a deal, right? This is a partnership that you use to stand up new markets, in some cases almost overnight. And to be able to set up, because of that reduction in overhead, because of that reduction in time, and just the reduction in complication of running a larger scale business, this gives you a blueprint for scalability, right? So I'm gonna, if you can talk about that a little bit more, Jimmy, but it's that baseline for growing from 2 to 10.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just so powerful. And the fact that once you're having success in a market, especially after you've connected with Launch Control and New Western, and you see that it works, the fact that you don't have to stay put, it's like it doesn't just work right here. It works all over the country. So once you get in you're comfortable in that market that you've done, or that 2 or 3 markets that you're doing, and you're looking to stand up another market, you just get with me on our side, and with Launch Control on the front side, and it's everything we've talked about today. It's just rinse and repeat, and you can scale at your own speed. So whether that looks like that you're in 2 or 3 markets and you want to just do one more market, that's great. Or you may say, hey, you may come to me and be like, Jimmy, we started in 1 market, we're now working with you guys in 4. We've got this down pretty good on our side. We think that we can go into 3 markets, and jump from standing 1 market up a town to now let's stand up 3, and if it's something that you think you can handle, you can scale at your speed, because for us, it's you just plug in and we're rocking and rolling. So, and something that we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, with the fact that it's a low overhead play to move into a new market. I see it all the time. For one reason or another, a wholesaler will get into 1 market, or maybe they'll try to expand maybe a little bit quicker than what they could handle, that they thought they could handle. And they may say, yeah, we want to do these 10 markets. And they get in there and they realize they've kind of just maybe for one reason or another decided that they want to do, maybe let's not do all these 10 at once. Let's back this down and do 5. That's great to us. You don't have, it's not like you went into these markets and you've put in all this money, building this whole team and this overhead. And so now it's like, man, we've got to perform or I'm going to, lose it. You may get in there and realize, for one reason or another, you just didn't like how things are going in that 1 market. Turn it off as quick as you turned it on, and let's look at another one for you. So, it's, you find your success where you can, and then you scale up at your own speed, and it's just, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and on that level, we talked about this a bit, and we talked about this quite a bit in the second webinar that we did, or the previous one, which is further automation, right? So in that use case where you want to stand up 3 markets overnight, or you want to make the jump from 5 to 10, right? Because you see the simplicity of the system, you see the reliability of the system. On the Launch Control side, we have done for you services. It's called Launch Leads. So at that point, you're going to be on probably our pro or enterprise level as a subscription. So you're going to have access to multiple markets, and exactly that same thing. If you want to shut off a market and restart another one, you can completely rely on our team to do that. Like, we'll set you up with local area numbers in that market. You can, again, leverage relationships with our data partners to get that initial market analysis and data that you need for those new markets. And then you can rely on our team to set up the account, send out the messages, work the conversations. And when any homeowner that is ready to have a conversation and talk about solutions for their home, we're going to do a warm handoff of that. So we're going to have someone on your team within 5 minutes give that seller a call, right? So from their experience, they're working with one organization, and they're just being handed to the decision maker, and the decision maker is going to help them find a solution for their home. So at that point, you're not even touching the text marketing. The only thing that you're doing is kind of keeping up with the data necessity to stand up those markets. And you're letting us do all of the early stage communication, so that at this point, you probably have a pretty solid acquisitions team. So your acquisitions team can focus exclusively on discovery calls and not on filtering toward discovery calls.
Man, that's one of the reasons I was so excited when we first just, got this partnership rolling, because the access to basically just having a completely automated backside of your wholesale business with us. And then when we had that first initial meeting and y'all were explaining everything y'all are doing, I was like, this automates the front side. So it's just like, it's crazy to think that somebody can go out there and plug into your company over here and our company over there, and it's literally just a funnel system, and all they're doing is working that touch point with the seller. It's crazy to think, when I started in this business a decade ago, to where it's become now, for wholesalers. It's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I see this as being a very clear system for people being able to really scale up their operations and do it in a way where it's we're going from solo entrepreneurs to really established real estate investment businesses with just the speed of getting to scalability and the ease of getting to scalability is getting easier. And this is just a clear-cut example of you find the right partners and it just gets easy, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
For anybody watching this now live, or anybody watching the replay, if you are if you're part of the New Western community, you're running deals already with Jimmy and his team, and you want to plug in those front end solutions with Launch Control, you'll want to use this link on the screen, launchcontrol.us/New Western, or you can just scan that QR code. And then if you are a launch subscriber and you've already got a bunch of discovery calls teed up, you're looking to have exit solutions and dispo solutions with Jimmy and his team, you can scan that QR code below or visit the URL there on the screen. So if I'll give you guys a second on that one if you want to take a quick screenshot of that. And then we're going to open it up to questions. If anybody has any questions, you can pop them into the chat and Jimmy and I will address them. Otherwise, we will wrap this one up and we'll send out the replay. Keep an eye out for the replay via email. We'll also put some clips on that Investors Hub website that I mentioned on Facebook, the Launch Control community. And Jimmy and his marketing team will be distributing the full replay and bits of this as well. So keep an eye out for that. All right, I think we're all set. But Jimmy, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I'm a little bit sad this is the last one. I'm really enjoying these conversations, but we're going to be working together quite a bit in the coming months. So.
Absolutely, man. I look forward to all of it.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. You have a good afternoon.
Yeah. You as well.
Bye.